The Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and your local cable provider presents Cable Reports. Join us now as Cable Reports brings you up to date on current issues facing the Commonwealth through discussions with your local legislators and other policymakers from across Virginia.
From the General Assembly in the City of Richmond, I'm Woody Evans for Cable Reports and Comcast, connecting Virginians to their government. We are pleased to have with us today members of the Pittsylvania County Danville, City of Danville delegation. Senator Bill Stanley, good to see you, sir.
Great to see you, Woody. Good morning.
Delegate Les Adams, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Good morning.
And Delegate Danny Marshall, good to see you again.
Thank you, Woody. And again, thank you for doing this. This is a real treat for the folks back home.
Thank you
to get
for
to see
being
you
here.
Today. So.
Of course. Delegate Adams, as the newest member of this delegation, sir, I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell our viewers a little bit more about your background, experience, and training.
All right. Well, thank you, Woody, and I do appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak with you again. This is my first time in elected office. I am a native of Pittsylvania County, sixth generation resident of Pittsylvania County. My family was a farming family for many years, and I watched my father transition out of tobacco farming into other service employment. And personally, myself, I went to Liberty University and to the University of Richmond Law School after that. I then had the opportunity to return to Pittsylvania County to live when I worked for the 22nd Judicial Circuit as a law clerk for 2 years. After that, I attended joined the Pennsylvania County Commonwealth Attorney's Office, where I was a prosecutor for almost 9 years, and then entered private practice, where I'm a partner now at Adams, Elmore & Fisk in Chatham, Virginia.
And I believe you're chair of the Pennsylvania County Bar Association?
Well, a past chair. I have served in that role on 2 different occasions, but have been active in the community in a variety of positions.
Great. And what committee assignments do you currently have?
I have been appointed to the Courts of Justice Committee and the Standing Committee on Science and Technology.
Great. And Senator Stanley, you happen to be a practicing attorney as well. What committee assignments do you have?
Woody, that's supposed to be a secret, but now that you've let everybody know that I'm an attorney, I sit on, right now, today, Commerce and Labor, which is a very important committee for Southside Virginia, Courts of Justice, Agricultural and Natural Resources, and also the Local Government Committee.
Now, there was a recount, I believe, recently. The state Senate now is officially tied, I believe, as of today, 20-20, with the newly elected Democratic Lieutenant Governor with the ability to cast tie votes under certain circumstances. Do you think things are going to change much in the Senate? Unfortunately,
Woody, I think they are. The Democrats believe that even though we've had a tradition of what we have as a committee on committees, a standing resolution that is effective for 4 years. 2 years into that resolution, the Democrats are now saying that they're going to change everything, pull Republicans off committees and replace chairmen with Democrat chairmen. It's going to be a fight. It goes on today. What they're doing is basically casting aside hundreds of years of tradition in the Senate body for what is and will probably be a naked power grab.
Delegate Danny Marshall, good to see you again, sir. And you're the senior member of this delegation. A non-lawyer, and I think that's a plus. Give us an idea of what's going on these days in the city of Danville.
Well, the city of Danville in 2013, we had a decent year as far as jobs. We still, I'm not saying that we have crossed the checkered line yet, but we're making some progress. We had a company that last spring called Mikado Wheel is located from Durham, North Carolina. They're building a facility now, and they will employ over 110 people. We had another one called North American Tire Mold, and they remanufacture tire molds for Goodyear, other companies like that. They will employ, again, over 100 people. We had a couple of other companies locate. So we're making progress. We've got a long ways to go. So, I know that the number one issue for me, anyway, is jobs and trying to bring prosperity back to our part of the state.
So what's happening with the industrial park and the mega sites there?
Well, the city of Danville in Pittsylvania County did something pretty unique, and they started this process several years ago. And the reason they started the process is Volkswagen was looking at the U.S. to build a facility. Danville, Pittsylvania County did not have a site large enough for VW. So VW went to Tennessee. So said we won't have that happen again. So it's called Berry Hill Mega Site. It's located on the western side of Pittsylvania County. It's 3,500 acres of land. It's the largest tract of land in the state of Virginia and the 5th largest on the East Coast. And so what we're doing, Pittsylvania County and the City of Danville and Tobacco Commission that I and Senator Stanley are members of, we're putting money in there to get that site ready so that when the next big business comes through, we'll be ready for them.
Delegate Adams, I know that transportation is vital to Pittsylvania County. You have some initiatives with regard to I-73, do you not?
Yes, we do, and I would agree that a better economic climate and the promotion of jobs is the primary emphasis that we have here for Southside Virginia. Senator Stanley and I spoke about this during the campaign in terms of transportation, and I'm pleased to have introduced legislation that would create a subcommittee, a study subcommittee for the promotion of I-73, the I-73 corridor. In fact, yesterday I was just speaking before the Transportation Subcommittee for Appropriations, making the case for really what's a minimal investment in terms of the state budget to take this project that's been stalled and push it forward. And so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to see some action there. We've gotten a lot of good response from different folks who have taken notice of the legislation, who have been involved in the past in laying the groundwork for this, because we know that strong infrastructure is necessary in addition to the educational investments we've made to position ourselves for real economic growth in the future.
Why is the Bannister River scenic designation an important item for you?
Well, this is it's important to me just simply because it's my very first bill. I was asked to carry it by the Board of Supervisors, and the Bannister River was designated a scenic river last year in legislation presented by the gentleman from Halifax, Delegate Edmonds. And since that time, the miles that have qualified for scenic designation have increased, covering throughout Pittsylvania County. And so that bill was engrossed to its third reading. I think it's coming up on the calendar today.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Good work. Senator Stanley, there was a recent meeting in Danville, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, and one of the consultants, former Mayor Linwood Wright to the city, made the following comments. I just want you to react to them. He described the city as poor, not particularly well educated, and getting older. That's on the negative side. On the positive side, though, he highlighted the fact that the city has a great science museum, a great history of fine arts center, and Millionaires Row. There were other positives, but I want you to talk a little bit more about the city of Danville, what needs to be done to improve the economic situation there.
Well, first of all, the city of Danville is a wonderful city, and they're unfortunately like Martinsville and a lot of Southside. We do have a higher poverty rate than the rest of the state. We have a higher unemployment rate than the rest of the state and the state average. But the people are resilient. They are ready and poised for a comeback, and I think they've never given up, even when the economy took a downturn just recently, and they've been experiencing that more than just from 2007. So they're hardened, they're ready to go, and I think what we have there with our education system, the public school system in Danville, things that we can do there, it is a beautiful city with a lot of opportunity. And once you bring somebody to Danville, then they realize why we praise it so much. It's just a great place to live, work, raise a family. What we have to have is not just the infrastructure of I-73 and other things, but we just have to have an opportunity to put that on display. Growing a workforce training, the things we're doing down there with Danville Community College are important and critical. The work that both Delegate Marshall and myself do on the Tobacco Commission really have helped sustain Danville through tough economic times. But, you know, I've had senators tell me that the sun is setting on Southside, and I remind them over and over that, no, the sun is rising on Southside, and Danville's one of those jewels of Southside.
Now, you mentioned unemployment, and I believe you have an initiative before the General Assembly this year which has to do with unemployment and short-term compensation. Talk to us about that.
Sure. It's a bill I introduced last year, and we got it out of committee in the House of Delegates, and then it was re-referred. We reintroduced it. It's gone out of the Senate. It passed. The crux of the bill is this. We have a lot, and especially in Southside, a lot of companies that when they are seeing a downturn in their production or their profits, they tend to lay off people. That's the first place that they go. And then when those people are laid off, they go on the Virginia unemployment system and they receive benefits. What this does is kind of combine the two. Instead of laying people off, you have a reduction in hours. And those hours then are picked up by short-term compensation from the Virginia Employment Commission. That way we keep the workforce working, we keep them strong. They are able to keep their benefits, their health, their dental, and also they're not sitting on the sideline waiting for a job. And that helps the company in a number of ways. Participating companies can use that short term not only to cut their expenses, but also even to retrain their workers while they're still on the job. So it's a really important bill for Southside Virginia. It's a great bill. Right now the federal government's offering to pay for all the startup costs. This is the last year that can happen. So I'm hopeful that this year it'll get to the floor of the House and it'll pass. And I know I'll have a great patron in Delegate Danny Marshall. So I think it'll be smooth sailing.
He needs help, Delegate.
It sounds like a great idea to me.
Was it that obvious?
But you've been a leader in terms of workforce development, and I know you have an initiative regarding that again this year.
Well, last year, if I can go back, we put in a budget amendment last year under the McDonald administration for Danville Community College to expand its precision machining. Before, they were graduating about 25 people. With this $4 million that we got into the budget last year, and it's already in place at Danville Community College. So now they have over 100 students in the program, and they even went a step further that they went to the public schools in Pittsylvania County out at the Votech School near Chatham, and so that the students there can also get college credit. So a young person could go to the school there in Chatham 2 years and then only have to go to Danville Community College 1 year. So the whole idea is just makes the pipeline a lot bigger so that we can be able to attract these companies. And that is what I mentioned earlier about the Mikado Wheel and the North American Tire. That's one of the main reasons they listed as why they came. What we're doing now is there will be a 1 year kind of advanced degree, and this would be at the Institute. And it will be a line, like if you went to Rolls-Royce Aviation just south of us, you would be able to see how that whole production line works. They will set up a production line for advanced manufacturing, so it trains young men and women from all the way from the beginning all the way to the end. So this will be pretty unique anywhere in the state of Virginia.
What attracted former Delegate Joe May to locate a new business?
Well, that's an interesting story. Joe sat on the House floor in front of Robert Hurt and I when Robert was a member of the House delegates. And one break we had during the House, I asked Joe, I said, "Joe, you thinking about expanding your business?" "Well, yes, I am." "Would you consider Danville?" "Well, yes, I would." And so we invited Joe to come down. We got the then city manager at the time, Jerry Gwaltney, to come to Richmond to meet with Joe. And so then we set up a meeting. So Joe came down with his people and set up a business. Then he in turn expanded that. So he's got, I think, close to 100 employees in the city of Danville. And it was just all because of, right place, right time. So.
Great. Delegate Adams, a lot of youngsters don't have the initiative that the three of you have in terms of continuing their education either at the community college level or at one of our institutions of higher learning. What is needed to help a high school graduate in terms of more focus on vocational education so that person can support a family and be a productive member of society?
Well, I think that's true, and that our educational opportunities need to reflect an understanding that education should not be one size fits all. And I'm pleased to see that the Republican majority in the House of Delegates is leading on this issue and has several initiatives that are in the works now to help continue to improve our K through 12 education program. Specifically, we're looking at ways to improve the SOL assessments and to encourage more flexibility in the classroom and to help reward achievement and creativity. And I think that those are things that I heard a lot when I was campaigning, that from people on the front line, so to speak, in the schools, who recognize that those changes need to happen. And I'm pleased to see that there's efforts to make that happen, and I'm looking forward to being a part of that solution.
Great. Senator Stanley, reading, writing, and arithmetic are fundamentals. We can't do without that in terms of education. I want you to speak to that, but I want you to say a little bit more about the importance of the Tobacco Commission, its history, before you address the education issues.
Well, the Tobacco Commission was born out of the Master Settlement Agreement with Big Tobacco. And the General Assembly at the time decided that the best way to handle the money that was coming in was to create the commission to help the tobacco footprint in Southside and Southwest Virginia with economic issues and bringing jobs back to the area. As the Master Settlement Agreement took away our tobacco industry, which we had textile manufacturing and tobacco, what we were able to do with this money and what Danny's been able to do for many years is attract new businesses, help existing businesses grow, and make sure that even scholarships are given to students in the area so that they can continue their education that otherwise, because of their economic condition, they might not be able to do. So the Tobacco Commission serves an incredibly important part of our economic recovery, but also workforce training and education for our kids. And it starts really, the comeback starts with the new generation. We're growing a workforce in Southside and Southwest Virginia that has to be ready for the new challenges of an expanding and different economy. And I think we're doing that at both at the kindergarten to 12th grade level, and you were mentioning VOTEC, vocational technical training, is something that kind of went away. But, you know, that is a job right there that can pay very well right out of high school with somebody who has that certification. So we're kind of turning back to that maybe college isn't for everybody. Because right now in Southside and Southwest Virginia, we're suffering from a 21% trade drain. That means those persons in the trades, whether it be welding, electrical, plumbing, we have more jobs than we have people that can fill them in those areas. So we need to bring vocational training back as a center focus for the high schools. And, you know, we just have to keep growing what is the best community college system in the Commonwealth. Danville Community College, Patrick Henry, they're really on the cutting edge. So when we grow this workforce, instead of investing all that money in their education, we spend about $10,000 per year per student. So that's about $140,000 of tax money. But right now that tax money and that great investment goes away because we haven't had the jobs. What we're doing right now with the new students and our children is making sure that when they get to that age, that they can stay in Southside, they can stay in Danville and Pittsylvania County, they can put roots down and grow a family and create their own new legacies, and that's what we're really looking for. The problems that we're suffering right now are not something that can be solved in a year or two. It's a generational thing, but we're working very hard to make sure that what is going to be there in the future for our children is a great and prosperous one.
And Delegate Marshall, apparently there's a need to look at a program that's been in existence for well over, 15 years now, the standards of learning. There apparently needs to be some reform there. That's before the General Assembly.
Again, that is a Republican initiative that started back last summer and has moved forward. There's a bill that's coming forward that will review and renew the test because one of the things that we hear all the time, I know I hear and I know my colleagues hear also, the teachers say that we're just teaching to the test. Mm-hmm. And so that that's not the idea. I think that we certainly do need to have some testing to make sure that the young people that's leaving K through 12 is leaving ready for the jobs of the future. But when they teach into the test, and we're not teaching, thinking, critical thinking.
What about a relook at the legislation last year that now allows a state authority to take over a local school district if it is failing?
Well, I don't know if there's a bill that goes forward, but I think there's only a handful of schools in the state that are not not performing, and so who loses? The children lose. The students in K through 12 in those school systems lose. And it's not about the teachers. It's not about the school boards. It's not about the administration. It's about trying to make sure that those young people get the education. We don't want to hinder them their progress just because of a system. So I thought it was a pretty bold move, and the whole idea again is just about getting those children a great education.
Delegate Adams, I know that parents now, they will have available to them a way to look at their schools in terms of a grading of A to F now. I don't know if you heard anything about that during your campaign.
Oh, yes. Well, and of course that's something that continues to be implemented after the introduction last year. And I think any time that you put educational decisions back in the hands of parents, and the closer you keep it to the localities, such that you can make those decisions for your children about where your child can get the best education, and how you can be involved in your child's life to meet the needs of that child, then that's a positive thing. So I encourage policies from my standpoint that are going to provide more information for parents, who are going to provide more opportunities for parents to be able to adjust to the educational needs of their children.
What about charter schools in a virtual school environment?
Well, that's everything that we can bring to the fore we should do. We need to be innovative when we teach our children. We need to bring that creativity back to the classroom, but we also have to be creative in creating the classroom. Charter schools are very important because it gives another opportunity, another choice for parents to make. And virtual schools help bring the best teaching into rural areas and otherwise that might not have the ability to bring that teacher or that experience to the children. So when we expand the net in which we can then grasp our children in a great educational experience, then we're benefiting all Virginians. So it's very important. It's even important, the A through F bill. When we look at those things, that was a bill I carried last year. What it really provides is it simplifies what has otherwise been a very tortured definition of whether a school is performing well or not. So now at the state level and even at the parent level, those parents and us here in Richmond can identify where those needs need to be so that we can put the resources to the schools that need them to make sure that every child gets a quality education. And that's the most important thing for Virginians. And we owe that to Virginians' children.
Great. Delegate Marshall, I think hunting season is over with. However, there is a bill that will now allow hunting on Sundays.
Well, the bill is, I serve on House Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources, and have for 8 of my 13 years so far. And every year we have had a bill that has to allow Sunday hunting has always died in a subcommittee. This year we have a new chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, and so he says he's going to take it to the straight to the committee, and on a 12 yes, 10 no vote, it passed. I voted no. And so it will be up today on the House floor. It will allow for hunting on your private property, so that, or either I could hunt on your property if I have written permission to do so. It was an interesting vote. The vote is that if you look at the Southwest delegation on Ag, voted for it. The Northern Virginia members voted for it. The Virginia Beach people voted for it. It was the cluster of around Central Virginia that voted against it. I have done a survey almost every year I've been here, and for a number of years I put that question on the survey, do you favor Sunday hunting? And it is, pushing 70% no, that they do not want to have Sunday hunting, but I think that it's going to be here.
So what's the opposition based upon in terms of your constituents?
Well, I think what the constituents are is that they want to be able to have a day that they could go in the woods and walk and hear the birds and see the animals without being worried about getting harmed. So I think that's the main issue, and I think the other issue is that it's just a peace and quiet of a day. So that was the issue for the no. The issue for the yes was that so many people are working 6 days a week and they don't have a day to hunt. So the interesting thing, that's the little detail. Only 2.3% of the population of Virginia has a hunting license. Pretty low. I mean, nationwide it's 5%. So less and less people are hunting, and which brings another problem. If we don't have hunters out, the deer population and the wild game population is just booming, and the number one accident is caused by a deer in cars, and I'm almost sure that it will pass today. It'll probably pass like 70 yes and 30 no on the House floor today.
Delegate Adams, do we need to thin the herd more?
Well, and this is interesting. It's really been a privilege for me to be able to see how the deliberative body of the House has worked through this issue, because it is a difficult issue for a lot of folks, and there are good arguments on both sides. During the campaign, I took the position and made it public that if a bill was presented that allowed Sunday hunting only on private property and not on public lands, that I would vote in favor of that bill. And so I believe that the legislation, as Delegate Marshall aptly described, fits that definition. To me, it comes down to private property rights. And I listened very carefully to the arguments of both sides of this. I actually sat in the Agriculture Committee when those arguments were made, both for and against. And to me, it comes down to that principle that if someone wants to refrain from hunting on their own private property, they can continue to do that, of course. And they do not have to give permission to others. In fact, the provision in the law requires written permission. And so it is I think the guarantees that already exist in terms of trespass law, in terms of nuisance law, address adequately the concerns raised by those who would prefer to keep the law as it is.
Senator Stanley, 30 seconds or less.
Can't do it. Go ahead.
Please. Sunday hunting, yes or no?
Yes, I think it is a property rights issue. Right now we have a form of Sunday hunting. We have game preserves in Virginia, and they hunt on Sundays on those private lands. So we have Sunday hunting. And I think, there's a balance that can be struck in terms of the hunting on Sunday and people that want to enjoy a day of rest. So I think it's a good idea, especially when we don't need a government telling us what we can and cannot do on our own property. That is a fundamental right given to us by God and our founding fathers in the Constitution.
Thank you all for being here. Delegate Marshall, Delegate Adams, Senator Stanley. Good to see you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Cable Reports, brought to you by the Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and Comcast, connecting Virginians to their government. Until next time, I'm Woody Evans.